With something different, we can learn a lot of new things that we don't already know. That is what makes the world complement each other with these differences.
Understanding different cultures allows you to be more open, accepting, and tolerant of other people.
My name is Salsabila Ghina Annaifah, and my partner.
Ludfy Pandu Wiranata, and we are going to discuss about the differences between British, America, and Indonesia cultures.
So, Lutfi, what are you going to discuss?
Well, me, I will explain about American history and religion.
And me, Salsa, I will bring a part of government politics and their friendship, social lives with values and attitudes in business. So, Lutfi, what exactly happened in America at that time?
Well, salsa, history of America is very different in every aspects, from the history of cultural development and identity, the dark history of African American, and the ethnicity of immigration. Yet, I'm just going to spell out the history of African American because I think it's very interesting to discuss. Let's start off with history of African American. For African American people, slavery is a dark past. By being slave to white people, they need a freedom. Black people in that period made a movement through stories or by storytelling to their grandchildren. They also made a song that contained their greatest desire for the freedom of black people in America. Then came figures who further strengthened the black people movement for freedom, such as Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, and many others. They also made a movie to rewind what exactly happened to them in the past. I will a little bit as well explain about the ethnicity and immigration racism in America. Racism to ethnic minority was enormous. For instance, Asians in America, then racist white people to black people. Ethnic races are very strong in America. Hence, there is so much racism committed by dominant societies to minority people that is actually an immigration to America. Additionally, it has a different ethnicity to Americans in general, with the goals getting them off from America itself and return them to their country.
Oh, I get it. I think the history of America is quite similar to Indonesia about the slavery, right? Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch and Japanese, making Indonesia become their slaves. Am I correct, Lutfi?
Yeah, I think such a thing as well. Anyhow, what about the politics and governments in the UK and the US? I'm really looking forward to know more about it.
Okay, so the United Kingdom or British is a constitutional monarchy government in which a single person, a monarch, rules until that individual dies or abdicates the throne. The monarchies of most modern nations are ceremonial remnants of tradition. Monarchs also tend to endure in such governments because people enjoy their ceremonial significance and the pageantry of their rites. Meanwhile, in the United States is a presidential system with a power in a president. Politics sums up the most essential part of their nations. Political systems that citizens willingly and hold free selection, which is a vital foundation of any democracy. The fact that United Kingdom doesn't have a constitution like the United States has is because British politicians to argue the actions or proposals their opponents are illegal.
Oh, from the discussion that you talk about, I immediately think that in Indonesia here, we have an area ruled by the form of a kingdom and led by a king. It's Jogja, isn't it? What I'm saying is, Jogja is a special region. It's given the privilege to organize the territory.
You're correct, Luffy. You know what our culture so well. And by the way, would you like to explain the religion in America and British?
Yes, Elsa, sure thing. Actually, I'm going to discuss more about the discrimination. Religion in America is inspirable from being racist, especially minority religions such as Islam. Islam is seen as a terrorist religion in America because of many demonstrations that occurred involving the Muslim community in danger. Like the tragedy of September 11th, about 53% of American Muslims think that it has become more difficult to be a Muslim after the tragedy. Another religious discrimination in America are anti-Catholic sentiment, anti-Jewish sentiment, and Islamophobia. Unlike in America, the majority of British are Christian followed by other religions. Although Christianity is the main religion, yet the other religions, these are highly respected in there as well. While in Indonesia, despite having many kinds of religions and beliefs, Indonesians are completely aware of respecting other religions. Although the dispute between the religious people still exists. America does a lot of racism, so it's hard for the minority people who live there. It's sad to imagine that the minority fellow who got the resistance from the dominant. Okay, we've seen about the region differences between these three nations. Now, let's have a discussion about social life. Time is yours, Salsa.
Thank you, Ludwig. And now I'm telling you about how their social life. In America, they are likely to be a direct people. What I'm saying is, they are ready to be opened in any options. What appears in their mind that will be shared directly in there as well as they got nothing to be scared to explain their idea, especially in a working place. Americans tend to use sarcasm and kitty when they talk. Do you know sarcasm, don't you?
Yes, I have heard enough about it.
Yet, meanwhile, British commonly used communication, especially in humor and good manners. They must be together. Besides, Indonesians are indirect people, as sometimes they're doubtful. People begin to get scared to be wrong or scared not to be accepted in their circle. Okay, now let's talk about their business. Every country has their own style about that. The first thing you need to know about their culture, especially in world business that we have to do is we have to know about their negotiation culture style. Then we can fix our communication skill for them in order that hope they will understand more about what we are saying. Last but not least, when we are in the meeting, make sure to summarize and make a deal from both sides. In conclusion, we have to adjust with them to build a good communication, good attitude, and good relation with them. We might be different from them, but we can be like them. If we are not getting used to be a dirty people, we can try it in a good way. So, and yeah, this is a different culture in their business, like privacy. Um, this is how Americans use privacy in their business. Like Americans love their small talk and making a lot and friendly conversation with absolute strangers, and they're so much open than Britons, and you may learn more about your American friends than you wanted to know, or you may hear more childhood stories than you care to listen to. Americans will be interested in your experience and background as well, since your upbringing may differ greatly from theirs. And this is how British privacy in business, like birds often come off as cold, but this is not to be taken the wrong way and as unfriendly. If a foreigner really wants to adapt to British culture and make some valuable connections, they need to be patient and realize that creating such friendships may take longer than anticipated. The high value put on personal space is also visible in everyday life, as when people will avoid sitting next to someone else on a bus or apologize if they touch someone accidentally. And in Indonesia, on the other hand, have their roots based in communal society where the interests of the family or the group is considered to be more important than the rights of any one individual within that group. There is an understanding of shared ownership, and this includes information about the individuals within the group. And in Indonesia, sharing is almost everything, and it's accepted and expected.
Now, we'll talk about work-life balance. As you can see, in Americans tend to believe that individuals control their circumstances by how much they work. This work ethic is reflected in America's attitudes towards academics. But one thing you need to know that you do not be surprised if you meet students who spend the vast majority of their free time during study time in the library. And then for many US companies, you have to put in the long hours, cancel annual leave, and work for no benefits to show your dedication to your job and get ahead. Americans are afraid to take all of their entitled 2 weeks of holiday. On average, Americans are allotted 16 days of paid leave. But according to Glassdoor, the average worker only takes half of what they are legally allowed. When asked why they do not take more time off, workers mainly cited a sense of fear that their work and or professional relationships will suffer as a result. And the last thing is career is front and center for many of Americans. While Americans are applauded for their work ethic, there is still the troubling fact that employees uh, who exceed 40 hours of work weeks do not receive overtime pay. Based on Nick Hanover explained in Politico, in 1975, more than 66% of salaried American workers earned time and a half pay for every hour worked over 48 hours a week. By 2013, just 11% of salaried workers qualified for overtime pay, according to a report published by the Economic Policy Institute. So business owners like me have been able to make the other 89% of you work unlimited overtime hours for no additional pay at all. Now in British, business culture may be changing in the United States, but in British, there is still much more emphasis on devoting oneself to one's work and employers. In the United Kingdom, there is a greater emphasis on maintaining a healthy work-life balance and an understanding that a job is something that you do. In the other words, it's not something that defines you. Britons like to have a life outside of their work and enjoy other interests like a spot of tennis and a good old holiday in the sun. Lastly, in the UK, full-time workers are entitled to 28 days off per year. In the US, there is no federal minimum for vacation days. Meanwhile, here in Indonesia, working hours will be 7 to 8 hours long. Any time worked beyond this will be deemed overtime, and the pay will be adjusted appropriately. The following are some samples of working hours. First one, normal working hours. Working hours in Indonesia are typically from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. These hours apply to all employees, including the private and public sectors. Saturday and Sunday are traditionally free days. Therefore, the work week is usually 5 days long, from Monday to Friday. The next one is working hours for 12 hours. When a corporation has a lot of work to do, the average working day is longer than 8 hours. Long shifts are the term for this extra time. Working hours are needed to be 12 hours a day with 1 or 2 days off in many agreements between the company and the employees.
And last of the topic of business culture is business attire. In America, in general, the East Coast is more formal, whereas the West Coast is known to be casual and informal when it comes to business attire. Casual or dressed down Fridays are common throughout the States, and high-end Italian fashion is not appreciated nor noticed. And in British, when it comes to business dress codes, classical conservative attire is the norm for both men and women, and dark colors such as black, dark blue, and charcoal gray are predominant. Senior managers look to spend on quality materials in high-end fashion in the workplace to distinguish themselves. So designer labels, bespoke suites, silk tiles, and Italian shoes are common in the office and a sign of affluence and status. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, the normal business attire is a business suit or white shirt, tie and slacks for men, and a business suit or dress for women. Women should dress conservatively, ensuring that they are well covered from ankle to neck. The traditional batik shirt is also commonly worn in the office and is now considered proper business attire. Business skirts are commonly used. Tight-fitting clothes are best avoided. Remember, Indonesia is tropical country and hot, so cotton or at least light clothing is best.
Wow, that is so spectacular and impressive as well. I got a lot of new knowledge now. Thank you so much, Salsa.
No problem, Lutfi. I got new insights from you as well. Thank you too. And for you guys, Taeyong is eating nasi kucing. Thank you for watching and listening. Bye bye.
Bye.